So yoga, fitness and well-being is what we do.
Yeah.
We love a kind of a different approach to fitness, more of a holistic approach. Try and be masters of stuff instead of a jack of all trades that we find a lot of gyms are. With small, intimate groups that you can get taught how to train, how to engage your core or all your techniques, which is for me is really important. And they're saying with a lot of our instructors, not just there to instruct, it's there to teach.
Yeah, definitely. You said quality over quantity. I mean, I'm glowing from doing your class. That was insane, and it was so nice to see a range of ages. Yeah. It's not just kind of gym bunnies or people that have retired, it's literally every walk of life. Yeah. And that's really motivating.
It is. A lot of my work is in diversity inclusion. Yeah. And for me, you've got to be able to come to the gym and be your whole self.
Yeah.
And wherever that will be, in the office place, your home, your friendship groups, whatever it may be, especially gyms. Gyms can be really alpha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and if you want that thing, then absolutely fine. But we just don't do the alpha male. I'm sorry for swearing, but where I'm at, I don't like that whole. I did it for 20 years when I played rugby. I want an environment where people can come and flourish, no matter what level you're at, what age you're at. You know, it doesn't matter.
So how do you make that transition from, as you say, being really competitive, playing rugby for England, starting in Northampton, moving to France, doing all of these really competitive things? So it's all on stats. It's all about dog eat dog. How do you then find that piece of non-competitiveness?
Yeah, it's a hell of a transition, although I couldn't wait to get out of rugby. Look, and rugby's great, and team sport, it teaches you a lot. I was on the cusp of professionalism. I went professional quite early on in my age, so 18, but I worked before anyway. But rugby was an amateur sport with professional people in, so it really matured me. I got educated through rugby and the values of what that had. Unfortunately, being in sports, it does shield you from civistry and everyday life. You are protected in some way. You've got to perform. You've got to obviously get a contract every year, but you are shielded from everyday life. And actually, when you get out of sport into civistry,
it's
a very difficult transition, and a lot of players, I've talked about it for years, and hopefully they're starting to do something about it. It's very difficult, one is your routine, you're transparent with really no business knowledge or how to interact with people on how people are. And it is dog eat dog. I find rugby not necessarily dog eat dog. I find it's a very different approach. But in civistry, it's dog eat dog, and there's some very horrible people out there. But equally, there's some lovely people out there.
And how do you feel now that you're outside of it and come through that, and your life has taken a different turn? When you stayed in fitness, do you feel that you can make that difference to other people to bring that positivity into their life without the pressure?
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of any issues or anything that applications, whether it be in jobs or fitness or family or different situations and scenarios, it comes down with learning and educating yourself about something. And a lot of that could be down to social circles, ignorance, or not really having an understanding. And actually, when you start trying things, we have a lot of people come with chaperones, we'll have people with different types of background and issues will come here, and they keep coming here because it's a safe, non-alpha male environment, be their whole self, and they're learning.
Yes.
And that's the whole point. That's how I see fitness should be, and something of enjoyment. And another frustration of mine is PTing and instructors sometimes will get their satisfaction and justification on seeing someone crawl out the gym.
From suffering.
And I, as an ex-world champion sportsman, that is not how I see fitness. I see fitness in a professional professional capacity, or someone who's going to compete will maybe get to that level to really push the bounds of their fitness. But they'll have an understanding of their body, their diet, and where they want to go to get to that point. To get someone from the office to point obesity till they crawl out for me is not. So that's why I'll always say quality over quantity. Yeah. That's why I'll always say, you know, do what you can as long as you do it correctly, because it's going to be the tortoise and hare scenario. You're going to do 300 in 2 seconds and get none of them right, or we'll do one and you'll learn from that one the whole movement, and you'll get more out of it. Then you'll do 2, before you do 6, and then you do 8. You know, that's the whole point of it. So learn properly. The fundamentals of any fitness is the underpinning really of where you can go to. If you're getting taught wrong, you're going to hurt in the wrong places.
And you won't come back.
And you won't come back. Yeah, and some people go to that point, I want to get fit, I want to get beach ready, or whatever it may be, and end up really hurting themselves and not going back after they've done it. And actually that's a shame. But the other thing about it is what we do offer is the various fitness and exercises and classes that we do around well-being.
You've got so many.
Yeah, but they all blend. It isn't like, you know, too many, but you know, like with aerial yoga, do TRX and things. They're specialist stuff, you know, and you can learn and do something different. But it's not that difficult.
Yes, and it's nice to see that lots of different age ranges and abilities come in. I think a big thing that, as you touched on, people start something new, they go in with both feet, they burn out, and then they think they're not good enough. And I think when you sense that feeling of failure, or that everybody else is better, you're your own worst enemy. You know, you can just attack yourself to the point that you quit before you've even really begun. So how mentally do you get over those obstacles for yourself, for teaching people and inspiring people when they have that self-doubt in them?
I think a lot of that time is that there's not been any time spent with someone, because generally you're going to have to pay for it. Yeah. So what will happen is you'll join a gym and you'll pay £65 to £120 a month, get bored of the pool, can't get a class that you want to, and you don't know what you're doing in a gym. So you'll go and then pay 50 quid for a PT, and you're £500 in then a month to justify your initial investment, and you're getting nowhere and you're not getting taught. But that is different from here. We do spend time with people, like myself. I would always talk like I did with you today, and you saw me do it with everybody else. And it's important. Understand how to squat, how to fold properly, where to engage your core, and those little things that can help out make a massive difference.
Definitely.
And then you'll start to say, oh, actually, you know what, I get it now, or I start to understand it. And then when someone starts to pay an interest in your journey, that's why we have small intimate classes, is that we can keep an eye on people that who need it. And to the point of our experience is the fact that it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or you're quite a long way down that fitness road, is that we have the experience of pivot and turn and give a variation or not. But generally our classes, I do an old England session in here sometimes with when I have a class, and you can take it easy, do what you need to do, or you can go for it.
Yeah.
You know, like today, you know, it's an intense session.
There's a lot of sweat.
But yeah, you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you can do. But it's amazing to see when you take that out of the equation of this competitiveness, how many people probably work harder because they don't have that responsibility of thinking, oh, I've got to keep up with everyone else. We don't do that. It's no competition. There's no BS, and be your whole self.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And you do work with bullying also.
Yeah.
How does that tie into fitness for you? What's the connection there?
What's that? So change fitness?
Bullying. Like, how do you tie fitness into helping with bullying or counteracting it, preparing you physically, mentally, emotionally with it? Is there a connection there?
Well, I mean, that's quite a broad question. One is, if you feel, it depends what bullying is, what the bullying is, whether it's something it's from the home, or it's from the workplace, or in general public, or your circle of friends, and what you're getting bullied for. Now, some people pass that behaviour on. 9 times out of 10 it's a behaviour they pass on from the home, and then generally trying to cover up their own insecurities. it's horrible being bullied. And we'll always remember the time of being bullied. We'll always remember the smell of the room, the stillness of the room, the loneliness. It's their insecurities and not yours, and you'll always have to understand that. But if you want to use fitness as a great sort of metaphor and a way through it, fine. And you might want to do self-protection. It could be physical over verbal. You might need to escape from the mental bullying side of things. So, you know, meditation or a HIIT class gets rid of frustration, obviously, but trying to control, trying to empower, and try to be grounded is very important through fitness. And really having that alone time. And I mean, putting fitness aside, I walk around a lake every night. I walk 12 miles last night. I do anywhere between 4 and 12 miles a night with the dog, because I need time by myself to process, especially in the hard times today. And there's a lot of people that are suffering because of where we are today in society. We've had the last 5 years from Brexit, through COVID, into recession, war, greater recession and greater war potentially. And obviously as the electrics controlling our economy, we are now not in control. And we're out of control, and people are putting their hand in your pocket saying, right, I'm just going to take everything you've got.
Yeah.
And look, there's different pressures, and more so than ever, you know, well-being, mental health, and getting to a gym is so important, because you need to find a place where you can be at peace. And there's a lot of things when you're at peace. Now, if you ask a lot of people if they're happy, they would probably just say yes to get out of this conversation. But actually, the reality is they probably aren't happy. And happiness for me, and this is a great quote that I heard, and I really, really related to this. You know, happiness is fleeting. You know, happiness is really unreliable.
Yeah. Right?
And it's often conditional. And we put happiness to a condition, to a moment where we choose to be happy.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Now, we know we have fights on a lot of fronts, and we know that somewhere if we have fights on many fronts, then we're going to burn out mentally. So to be at peace in one point of your day, and that whether it be happiness or just to be at peace, for me, when I'm walking around the lake with my dog, I'm at peace. I haven't got anyone around me, so I'm happy, right? And you know, so the rest of the fighting, to be street and work, and you know, everything else that brings with pressure of life, you can handle a lot better. So if you can try and get to a point of coming into a gym to get that peace, or walk, or get out and exercise and do something, it really lets off good endorphins and lets you think a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's amazing advice, to be mindful of how we are feeling in that moment and just appreciate that downtime. Because I know when I'm doing something, it's easy to think about the million things that you have to do for the rest of the day, but to do one thing at a time instead of multitasking that solo task. And just being present in the moment makes a massive, massive difference. Mm-hmm. So somebody who is struggling in life, who has never been to a gym, who wants to make change, what advice would you give them to take that first step, to get them there through the door? Put you on the spot now.
No, I'm trying to think of a way of putting it, but I don't think I can put it any other way than just saying it. It's down to the individual. You know, if you want to make change, you'll make change.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, then you're going to stay. And if you want to be anything, and I don't mean this as a cliche, and I don't mean it to be so open and broad-minded, so broad, sorry. But if you want something, you can go and get it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can do that. I'm not saying that's money, I'm not saying that's the unachievable, and there might be a process for it.
Yeah.
But if you set goals and you want to put something in motion, and if someone, you're saying, is overweight or at that point of not being fit, if they get to a point of getting out and walking or getting to some kind of plan and routine, it will bring so much comfort in knowing what they're going to do for a week. But unfortunately, a lot of the time we're not educated enough about food. You know, especially now as we're going into a bad time in the economy, you know, people are going to cut on their food to save money to pay electricity. So, you know, how much I'd love to send people to come here and pay to come here, obviously, but there's also ways of getting out and walking. You know, that getting fit doesn't mean lifting weight, because the reality is you probably can't lift your own body weight, and I'm one of those people. So walking, getting out and trying stuff with body weight exercises is a great way of starting your journey. But you need a plan, you need a goal, and then you need to put that in place. And there's plenty of information out there to do it. And there's a lot of people here that would enjoy watching someone and helping someone go on that journey, which is empowering.
And I think once you take that first small step, you see progress, you feel better, you sleep better, you hold yourself better, your confidence grows, it just snowballs. And as soon as you dip that toe in, it begins. And I think to have that feeling, to share that feeling.
And you've got to have the want though.
If
you have the want, it's very different. And it is just that movement, and it is just getting those endorphins moving. And it's a very different feeling to knowing when you're slipping under into depression or going into depression, and you know, there's this haze, there's this mindset that you go to, and it's just nothing makes sense. You know, where things are not going right for you. You know, we know that life's unfair. It's never going to be fair, and unfortunately, you get yourself into that position. It's not until you get. I mean, I had the jab 18 months ago, and from having that COVID jab, I didn't do fitness for 18 months. I've literally just started in the last 2 weeks, and so I do appreciate from someone that was a professional sportsman and ran their whole life. To have, for me, it was a jab. To not do any fitness for 18 months, or since I had the jab, just in and around that time. I was switched off like that, could not get into it. And I went away, come back, and I just felt this urge I need to train. And I haven't looked back since. That was like two and a half weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Amazing. So you do go through those things. So if you can get out of that trend and try and just do something that isn't over, don't go try and run a marathon when you can only
you're just
burnt
out. No, absolutely. And I think the only way is up when you get to a point like that where you feel that there are no ways out. You know, there is always something that can elevate you, and whether that's reading, sewing, painting, whatever you need to escape from those feelings, it's a positive thing. It should be encouraged.
Nice to have a hobby.
It
is nice to have a hobby.
It's a luxury for time, but it's necessary. I think, you know, we put ourselves last in life, even though it's our life, and we always try to please other people, earn more money, do more things, have more things. Material possessions rule our lives almost. But to just love ourselves and put our health first is priceless.
Yeah, I mean, if your phone's half charged and only 50% battery, you probably walk around your town to find a charge point to charge it up, but you never charge yourself. No. You know, and look, I mean, there's so many knock-on effects to that, and it starts with social media. And what others project on their way of life is and what they're living at. And that's the reality.
Not perfect.
It's what it seems. You know, they don't have what they have. You know, they lie and everything like that. But it works for them. They've found something that actually just living this life pays for this. You know, and if you can get someone that just honest and good stories and empowering, that's kind of what we need. It's better than the leaders that we don't or have in our government who don't lead by example, unfortunately. So we don't really have many
humans
peers
left in the world.
Yeah, too many peers. So do you know what? That person's actually got some integrity and honesty about it. We don't have it.
No. Well, thank you for bringing that back. Because that is amazing. And I've absolutely loved your class. I love what you do here. And it's amazing. It really is changing lives.
Oh, so
thank you for that.
Thank you for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to see any more information about this, check out the link in the bio to this video where all of the social media and website will be listed. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.
Thanks, see ya.